Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long night. Welcome back to day 5 of Creepy Westeros, Essos, and Beyond. If you missed any of the previous days of this series, don't worry. I will link them all in one playlist for easy access, and so you won't miss a thing. One of the creepiest chapters in A Song of Ice and Fire is The Forsaken. The Forsaken is a chapter that will be featured in the not yet released Winds of Winter. In this chapter, the damp hair is forced to drink Shade of the Evening by Euron Greyjoy, and he has some visions. His visions with Shade of the Evening are in a different format than Daenerys when Daenerys visited the House of the Undying. But what do those visions mean? I would like to know your thoughts on this, so let me know in the comments below. Shade of the Evening is the drink of the warlocks. Pyat Pree tells Dany one flute will serve only to unstop your ears and dissolve the call from off your eyes so that you may hear and see the truths that will be laid before you. I'm pretty sure Daenerys was able to see such visions also because the House of the Undying houses some kind of magic and power, and the damp hair's visions were while he was a captive in a dungeon. So let's talk. It was always midnight in the belly of the beast. The mutes had robbed him of his robe and shoes and breech clout. He wore hair in chains and scabs. Salt water sloshed about his legs whenever the tide came in, rising as high as his genitals only to ebb again when the tide receded. His feet had grown huge and soft and puffy, shapeless things as big as hams. He knew that he was in some dungeon, but not where or how long. There had been another dungeon before this one. In between, there had been the ship, the silence. The night they moved him, he had seen the moon floating on a black wine sea with a leering face that reminded him of Euron. Rats moved in the darkness, swimming through the water. They would bite him as he slept until he woke and drove them off with his shouts and thrashings. Aeron's beard and scalp crawled with lice and fleas and worms. He could feel them moving through his hair, and the bites itched him intolerably. His chains were so short that he could not reach to scratch. The shackles that bound him to the wall were old and rusted, and his fetters had cut into his wrist. When the tide rushed in to kiss him, the salt got into the wounds and made him gasp. When he slept, the darkness would rise up and swallow him, and then the dream would come, and Yuri, and the scream of a rusted hinge. The damp hair continuously dreams of his deceased brother, Euron Greyjoy. Yuri and the damp hair were best friends and brothers and loved each other dearly. They used to play games, all kinds of games, until they played the axe game. And the damp hair shaved off part of Yuri's hand. An infection set in, and by the time they hacked off Yuri's arm, it was too late. He died at the age of 14. The scream of the rusted hinge comes from the memory of Euron coming into his chambers in the sea tower late at night to do with as he willed to Yuri and the damp hair. The damp hair was abused severely by Euron. These are his 2 worst memories, and these seems to be the things that haunt him. The first one being the brother that he loved, his dead brother that he bears some responsibility for. He feels guilty for his death because it was his axe that made the cut that caused the infection that took his life. And the second memory is the memory of his bedroom door opening to Euron for Euron to abuse him nightly. "Release me," the gods commanded. "Drink with me, your king commands it." Euron grabbed a handful of the priest's tangled black hair, pulled his head back and lifted the wine cup to his lips, but what flowed into his mouth was not wine. It was thick and vicious, with a taste that seemed to change with every swallow, now bitter, now sour, now sweet. When Aeron tried to spit it out, his brother tightened his grip and forced more down his throat. "That's it, priest. Gulp it down. The wine of the warlocks, sweeter than your seawater, with more truth in it than all the gods of earth." "I curse you," Aeron said. When the cup was empty, liquor dripped from down his chin into his long black beard. "If I had the tongue of every man who cursed me, I could make a cloak of them." Aeron hawked and spat. The spittle stuck to his brother's cheek and hung there, blue-black, glistening. Euron flicked it off his face with a forefinger, then licked the finger clean. Your God will come for you tonight. Some God, at least. And when the damp hair slept, sagging in his chains, he heard the creak of a rusted hinge. Yuri, he cried. There is no hinge here, no door, no Yuri. His brother Jurgen was long dead, yet there he stood. One arm was black and swollen, stinking with maggots, but he was still Yuri. Still a boy, no older than the day he died. You know what waits below the sea, brother? The drowned god? Aeron said. The watery halls? Yuri shook his head. Worms. Worms await you, Aeron. When he laughed, his face sloughed off, and the priest saw that it was not Yuri, but Euron, the smiling eye hidden. He showed the world his blood eye now, dark and terrible, clad head to heel in scale as dark as onyx. He sat upon a mound of blackened skulls as dwarfs capered around his feet, and a forest burned behind him. In this vision or dream, we get Aeron's worst fears again, the hinge and Yuri, but this time, Yuri basically says there is no afterlife, no drowned god with watery halls, only worms. But his face slides off and he becomes Euron. This seems to be Euron trying to break the faith that the damp hair has in the drowned god. He also sees Euron in Valyrian steel armor, which I think is the sea stone chair. There's also dwarves capering around his feet and the forest burning behind him. The dwarves could be many things. I think they relate directly to the children of the forest. Somehow Euron will gain control of them by burning weirwoods, or root them out by burning weirwoods, and somehow use them or extort them for their magic. The bleeding star bespoke the end, he said to Aeron. These are the last days, when the world shall be broken and remade. A new god shall be born from the graves and the carnal pits. Then Euron lifted a great horn to his lips and blew, and dragons and krakens and sphinxes came at his command and bowed before him. Kneel, brother, the crow's eye commanded. I am your king. I am your god. Worship me, and I will raise you up to be my priest. Never, no godless man may sit the sea stone chair. Why would I want that hard black rock, brother? Look again and see where I am seated. Aeron Damphair looked. The mound of skulls was gone. Now it was metal underneath the crow's eye. A great, tall, twisted seat of razor-sharp iron, barbs and blades and broken swords all dripping blood. Impaled upon the longer spikes were the bodies of the gods. The maiden was there, and the father and the mother, the warrior and the crone and the smith, even the stranger. They hung side by side, with all manner of queer foreign gods, the great shepherd and the black goat, the three-headed trios, the pale child Bacalon, the lord of light, and the butterfly god of Nath. And there, swollen and green, half devoured by crabs, the drowned god festered with the rest, seawater still dripping from his hair. Then Euron Crow's-Eye laughed again, and the priest woke screaming in the bowels of silence as piss ran down his leg. It was only a dream, a vision born of foul black wine. This is another attack on Aeron's belief in an attempt to break his faith. Euron is definitely sitting on the Iron Throne, and bodies of the gods are impaled upon it. This shows Euron not wanting to be a king, but wanting to be a god, wanting to be worshipped, and wanting to bring about an apocalypse. In order to bring in a new order, you must get rid of the old order. But one god, the Damphair, does not mention seeing impaled upon the Iron Throne is the weirwood, the old gods. They aren't impaled with the rest of them, which means the old gods may be the real power, the real higher beings, the real gods, or they may be somehow aligned with Euron. The dreams were even worse the second time. He saw the long ships of the Ironborn adrift and burning on a boiling blood-red sea. He saw his brother on the Iron Throne again, but Euron was no longer human. He seemed more squid than man, a monster fathered by a kraken of the deep. His face a mass of writhing tentacles. Beside him stood a shadow in woman's form, long and tall and terrible, her hands alive with pale white fire. Dwarves capered for their amusement, male and female, naked, misshapen, locked in carnal embrace, biting and tearing at each other as Euron and his mate laughed and laughed and laughed. Aeron dreamed of drowning too, not of the bliss that would surely follow down in the drowned god's watery halls, but of the terror that even the faithful feel as the water fills their mouth and nose and lungs and they cannot draw a breath. 3 times the damp hair woke, and 3 times it proved no true waking, but only another chapter in a dream. The Ironborn longships on the boiling blood-red sea could very well be the scene from the Stormborn where Euron attacked the Iron Fleet, destroying it and taking Yara, Alleria, and Tyene captive. Of course, I doubt it will go down like I know it won't go down like that in the books, but I do think Euron might have to face off with Victarion, possibly, maybe, not sure. Then he sees Euron on the Iron Throne again, but this time he looks like a monster, no longer human. Euron has probably gotten someone, maybe the Children of the Forest or some kind of magical being, Qyburn possibly, to make him into something else. More squid than man. But beside him stood a shadow in woman's form, long and tall and terrible, her hands alive with pale white fire. It could be Cersei, but I'm more inclined to believe it's something else. A White Walker. Possibly the Night Queen. The White Walkers are described like this in the prologue. A shadow emerged from the dark of the wood. It stood in front of Royce. Tall it was, and gaunt and hard as old bones, with flesh pale as milk. So I'm inclined to believe that Euron might be making a pact with the old gods and the White Walkers. The dwarves capering could very well be Children of the Forest, different wills bending to their desire, a number of different things that could be interpreted as. I'm not even going to go dig too far deep into that because I could give you like 7 different possibilities right now. But let me know what you guys think. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Also, so you don't miss any videos, click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children. See you tomorrow.